So this is the iPhone 15 Pro Max, and it's been on the market for nearly a year already. Today it's going to face off against the all-new Galaxy Z Flip, the refined, polished Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 version of Samsung's latest flipping phone. Let's go ahead now and begin this test with a boot up. We'll flip this open. I got to tell you, every time I do that, I'm just like, this is fun. Let's go ahead and begin with a boot up in 3, 2, go. Now, both these phones do have a 6.7-inch display. However, the Z Flip is a little bit taller. The aspect ratio is slightly less wide. Not too much, but definitely less wide. But for that cover screen and that more practical size to put in the pocket, definitely has something going for it. And you'll see that was faster for the iPhone to boot up just by a little bit there. All right, so when it comes to unlocking the phones, the iPhone 15 Pro Max right here requires a swipe with the Face ID housed in Dynamic Island. Now, it's pretty reliable. Now, on the Galaxy Z Flip, there is multiple ways to unlock. One with the fingerprint sensor, which works on the cover display. If I go ahead and open it up, you can also use a face recognition, and you can also set it up to bypass the lock screen. And so we can get right in very easily. You can also just use the fingerprint sensor on the inner display as well. So the Galaxy Z Flip, I would say, is probably easier to unlock and get into a little bit faster than the iPhone over there. But the iPhone is probably a more convenient, secure method if you want to use face recognition mostly. All right, so when generally scrolling through these phones, there's no major issues whatsoever. Both of them can do scrolling and going through the home screens very quickly, very fast. So I'm going to have no issues whatsoever recommending either for a buttery smooth operating system. Both of them are very polished here as well. That's one of the things I really like about the Flip versus the Razr, is that the software is a lot more polished. I feel like it's been going on for years here already with the Z Flip. So there's a lot of features. It just feels polished. So I really like that on both of them. Let's get into the app test. All right, so let's go ahead and show you that everything is closed out on both. And let's begin with Calendar. Now, you can definitely see that aspect ratio is definitely different, but Samsung also has a S24 Plus if you do want a iPhone 15 Pro Max like phone. So this one's all about portability, compact, awesome selfies with the rear cameras. Also, the Z Flip 6 does get the cameras that come on the S24 series. Let's go to Play Store, and you'll see a little faster there on the Z Flip 6. And we'll hit Games. And a little faster on the right. The Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 is no joke. Also, we do have ourselves 12 gigs of RAM on the right, 8 on the left. All right, so let's go into YouTube here. And you could see, I think the animation, this is kind of similar to what I see with the S24 series. The animation's a little snappier on Samsung phones. Let's go into X over there. Apple's going for a more slower animation, making it look a little smooth. Samsung snappier there on the right. We'll go into Instagram. And after I was doing a couple tests with these, the Pixel is coming soon, so stay tuned for that. We'll go over here. And definitely, one of the things I like about the Z Flip now is that it's more polished. It has the cool cover feature like they had on the Z Flip 5. It has the AI, so it's definitely the best version ever of getting a Z Flip. The crease is not as visible as it used to be. Durability is better. It's getting closer to that time where I think it's going to be for everyone. So maybe another iteration or two. Z Flip is going to be a serious contender. Let's go into Groupon. And we'll see, it looked like the iPhone had it, but it had a little pop-up. Now the Samsung will hit retail. And faster on the right. So Samsung a little snappier today, especially on the basic apps. So let's go into Amazon. And you could see a little snappier on the Samsung. And we'll go into eBay. And the One UI definitely has those animations down. That was actually faster on the Samsung as well. We'll go into Jetpack Joyride. And I think I have the volume on the Samsung, if I'm not mistaken. That game was a little faster on the Samsung as well. And I'm not really shocked by what's happening so far. The S24 Ultra was beating the iPhone before as well in some of these casual applications. So you can see that was about equal. We'll hit play. But why this is good is because I was faster on the right. Why this is good is because the consumer is winning. It doesn't matter if you get a Z Flip or you get an iPhone. Now you're getting nearly the same performance. And I was questioning, why is a Z Flip $1,000+? Like it's like $1,100, but now that I see the performance on here, it definitely seems worth it. Like in terms of, you're getting a flipping phone that's definitely a different type of foldable than the regular folds. And you also get performance that can match that of a top tier phone, and now cameras that are similar to S24, which are really good. So this is a really good contender, I would say. Let's go into Temple Run 2. Although sales aren't looking like they're beating last year, and that's because it's very similar to Z Flip 5. And let's go over here, and you'll see I play. I skipped the Z Flip 5 personally. I'm kind of happy I did, because now we have Galaxy AI built right into the Z Flip 6. I also like the design a little bit better. I think it's a little more clean, polished looking than the Z Flip 5. Let's go ahead and close this out, and we'll go into Subway Surfers. And you could see the aspect ratio. I mean, some apps they don't always look proper, and you'll see nearly identical performance here. So while the A17 Pro chip definitely benchmarks faster and benchmarking, a lot of these Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 phones have snappier look, feel, animation day to day. So, it's not really end all be all having the fastest benchmark on the Apple devices anymore. Let's go into PUBG Mobile. And I know Apple's paying attention, because I'm guessing this year they're just going to go crazy with the chip. Every time Android starts catching up, they got to leapfrog them. So we'll see what happens. Here in PUBG, something that's more difficult to load, Apple takes the win. See? So when it gets a little bit heavier, Apple starts taking down the Samsung. So that's where people will say, well, start pushing them a little harder, Nick. And there we go. You can see pretty similar. And speed test. That was faster on the left. In shot. Faster on the right. And calculator. Snap your animation on the right. Overall, I would say that the Samsung won it out in terms of most of the basic apps, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's way more powerful, because the Geekbench is going to show that in a second, but animations are snappier. Generally, kind of just opening up apps, it looks a little bit faster than the iPhone. The iPhone has a slower, more visually pleasing animation, though, I feel, and when you start pushing it in things like PUBG, video rendering, stuff like that, the iPhone can pull ahead of the Samsung Z Flip. But generally, day to day, the performance is pretty neck and neck. So if you wanted to choose between these two phones, you want to go try a flipping phone, you're not going to be suffering at all in the performance department. Let's go check the RAM management. All right, so let's start with the iPhone. Basically, a flawless contender here when we talk about the RAM management. No major issues, holds those apps beautifully. And I really wish, this is the area I wish Android manufacturers could catch Apple, because they still haven't. When it comes to relaunching the apps, yes, they do hold them very well now with a lot of RAM and stuff, but just the way it looks is still smoother on iPhone, even in 2024. So really, really like it. So let's take a look at the Z Flip 6 here. And already I can feel, while we're not having any issues reloading or anything, I can already feel that they just look a little slower when kind of going through. It's slightly delayed. So Samsung is, I think, a couple iterations of the software away. Maybe the One UI 7 will beat this. I don't know. But could be a little bit smoother or faster to relaunch. But you seem flawless in terms of the reload. So very good performance here. Again, kind of carrying over from the basic app test. Very good performance here on the Z Flip 6. I'm super impressed with it. So now we're in the browsers here. We do have the Safari on the left, and we have the Samsung Internet on the right. Let's go into apple.com. 3, 2, go. See, faster on Apple's device. That's good. You would want it to be. Let's learn more about the iPhone here. A little faster on the left. Scrolling pretty similar. One thing I'm not a fan of in the Z Flip series, same with the Fold, is while the crease is, I think, even less visible on the Flip than the Fold, this one right here, you can still feel it. It's like this little divot. It feels like a little dimple. Like you're just like, when you just feel a little dimple, you just kind of feel it. Like when you're going through, not a fan of that. Over here on the bottom, doesn't feel different. Also, the plastic kind of feel of display feels cheaper to me than the glass, the smooth glass on the iPhone, as well as other regular Samsung phones. But overall browsing is pretty similar. But that's a trade-off you make for that portability and that flipping mechanism on the Z Flip 6. To be fair, let's go to Samsung.com, 3, 2, go. And Apple loads Samsung's website faster as well. So maybe Safari a little more efficient than Samsung browser. Both of these will have the AI features. Apple's is coming in the fall with Apple Intelligence summarization features, and as well as some more tools that Apple Intelligence is going to bring. You can already use the Galaxy AI stuff already, built right in the Z Flip 6. Both of them very good here in browsing. Still that smoother scroll on the iPhone versus that very fast scroll on the Samsung browser. My final Geekbench scores are in for the 15 Pro Max. You can see 2791 on the single and 6863. Now, if we go to single core scores, the average is around 2899. So I did a little worse here, and on the multi-core, slightly worse I did here on this test, probably because I was already doing all of the apps first. Let's go ahead and take a look now at the Z Flip, and you'll see 1595 and 5834. So not winning on either single core or multi-core, but not too far off. And in reality, those scores don't really match the actual day-to-day performance, which is not that different between these two. Let's take a look at 3D Mark now. All right, guys, so here in the 3D Mark, you've seen not that different. This is so close. This was 3609 on the left, 21.6 FPS versus 3563 and 21.34 FPS. So the iPhone did win, benching better than 79% of devices, with the Z Flip over here at 78%. Now the iPad Pro M4 is the fastest in this test at like better than 99% of the market. So PC level chip is of course going to win it out. But definitely respectable, nearly neck and neck. This is one of the closest I've ever seen. So that should prove to you right there how close these are in performance. Let me go ahead and showcase now a quick Wi-Fi speed test. So let me go ahead and make sure this is on the same. And you can see we're coming in right at around 416 down. And on the upload, we're looking pretty not great right now. But look like we're going to finish it right around 23.6. So pretty good here. Go ahead now and take a look at the Z Flip and see if this can beat it. And so far, it looks like it's in ahead. Almost 500. Maybe we're going to finish with over 500 down. Same server. And I'm going to go ahead and test the iPhone one more time because someone said in the comments, I believe it was a couple of weeks ago, they were saying that basically if you retest this, you'll get a different result pretty much every time. Here's the deal though. I think the iPhone is still not going to beat the Samsung here because usually I have faster connectivity on the Samsung. Same. So we're going to rerun it here on the iPhone. We're looking to beat 562 down or even come close. And you can see iPhone's still not pulling in the same here. So this is what I'm saying. It just doesn't usually do better in this area. This is also true for me in 5G. I find the Samsung to pull in better 5G performance as well than the iPhone. It's not like super bad or way off. It's just a little bit different. Definitely a lead for Samsung. And I can rerun this again if you like on the Samsung to be fair. And you're going to see we're going to win this again on the Samsung. So that whole test it again, that's not fair. You can see right here, still loses. And while this wasn't better than the first test on the Z Flip, it's still beating the iPhone on the left with the upload being nearly the same, but still the whole point higher there you've seen right there. Still a win to the Samsung. Right. And so for our final test, let's go ahead and launch the cameras. 3, 2, go. You could see, I couldn't even see that one. Which one was faster there? 3, 2. Yep, that was the iPhone. That's what I thought, but I wanted to go ahead and make another look at it. Shutter speed, pretty good. If I go ahead and zoom in, pretty good. I think the iPhone's a little smoother when transitioning the lenses, but no big issue. Also, the Z Flip does have that feature where you can kind of like use the front camera propped up like this, or you can use the cover screen camera You can use the camera from the rear for your selfies, so that's definitely an advantage to this design right here. But wrapping it up, you get the flipping functionality, the nice kind of build quality here now on the Z Flip, kind of like you had on the iPhone, the S24 Ultra, very polished. And you also get the similar performance. So it's kind of a high price, definitely, but you can see why after seeing the performance in this video and all the features that come with the Z Flip. So let me know your thoughts on the iPhone 15 Pro Max versus the Z Flip. Which one do you think was better here? Which one would you go with? Or would you just skip all these and wait for an iPhone Fold, wait for the iPhone 16 Pro Max? I'd like to hear your thoughts down below. If you found the video helpful, entertaining, or just informing, any of those things, thumbs up. Subscribe if you haven't already. And stay tuned because we're going to be covering way more tech this year, including the Pixel series, including the iPhone 16 series coming soon. So I'll catch you on the next one. Nick here. Be sure to be well, and peace.